now this story happened when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I have to give you guys some preface on this, because if I don't, you're going to be like, what the hell, Haley? Like, you need to understand. So, the property that I grew up at in Tennessee, my mama and papa had lived on that property for years until my papa passed away. When my papa passed away, my mama, she stayed there for a while, but eventually sold the house. When she sold the house, my family bought it, my mom and my dad, and then we moved in there. Now, before my mama moved out of that place, when my papa passed away, she was insistent on having my papa buried on that property. She wanted him close. That was her way of coping with that grief. And it was a big property. They owned it. She had him initially buried on the edge of the wood line in the backyard, like up close to where my papa's woodshed was. And we eventually, after we moved in, had him move to like a cemetery and everything. My mama was like okay with that, so we did. But when we first moved in there, my papa was still buried there. So that's the preface, because this story took place at my papa's grave at my house in Tennessee. So as I said, I'm 5 or 6 years old, and I remember this. So on this day, I'm outside, and I had picked some wildflowers for my papa's grave. I would always pick him wildflowers and take them to his grave and sing him a song, and that's what I was doing this day. My mom was doing dishes, and she was watching me out the kitchen window. Out the kitchen window, you see the backyard all the way up to the wood line where my papa's buried. So she's watching me. It's a sad thing. Like I'm grieving, my papa, and so as she is standing there, it's kind of just like this little bittersweet thing. She all of a sudden gets a really eerie, icky vibe, like something is wrong. And at the same time, now I'll tell you her perspective, and then I will backtrack and tell you mine, because they were synchronized experiences, even though we are an entire yard apart, okay? And I'm really young. So she gets this super creepy feeling, and at the same time, she watches me stand up. Now, she has the kitchen window open, so she can hear to an extent, and she hears me scream really loud. And I had, like, when I first stood up, I turned around and started looking up in the woods, and I didn't see what she saw somehow, so I scream, and as I scream, she just knows. She said, Haley, run. So I start hightailing it down to the house. I run my little ass all the way to the front yard. I was not messing around. So to backtrack and kind of tell you what I experienced, okay? And I'm going to tell you what my mom saw. Super freaking creepy. I have no idea what it was. So I just remember I'm literally on my hands and knees by his grave. I have the flowers by his grave. All of a sudden, I felt this, I don't know, it was like a primal kind of fear, like when your adrenaline kicks in, kind of primal fear. Don't know why. I thought that I heard like leaves rustling or something. That's so common. I lived in the middle of the mountains. Leaves rustling normally wouldn't scare me, but I knew something was wrong. I felt like something was there, or like I was being watched or something. I don't know how to explain it. I just know that it scared me really bad. When I turned around and looked into the woodline, I didn't see anything. I was just frozen. I was like paralyzed for a minute. Didn't see anything. And then I hear my mom yell, Haley, run. And that's when I take off. Now my mom, after she said, Haley, run. So when my mom screams, Haley, run, she looks up. There's a huge oak tree in the edge of the woods right by the grave and my papa's woodshed. She sees a She says like a figure, like a human figure, because we don't know if it was actually a man. I don't think that men are 7 feet tall very often. She said that it was in dark clothing, and she could clear as day make out an arm, and from the shoulders down, the whole body. Like, just like you're seeing me, like a whole body. Doesn't make sense why she could not see facial features, but she could not. The sun's out, like she can see the skin, the dark clothing. And she said that this thing had some sort of a staff or a pole, and she said it was like thick in diameter. It's not like a fishing pole. It's like, imagine like a piece of like PVC pipe or some shit. I don't know what else. So she said that it was like a silver color, glistening in the sun even, and it had it in its hand, like, like standing there like freaking Gandalf, I don't know, about 7 foot tall, and it like peers out from behind this oak tree. And so she thinks there is some sort of a man up there, and that he is like trying to hurt me or kidnap me or break into my papa's woodshed. Now, it's super creepy to have anybody on your property, but a property that remote, that's even scarier, because why are you all the way back there? And so she runs out onto the back porch. When she gets onto the back porch, she doesn't see it. And so she is looking, she's too scared to run up there. She's looking around, and then she starts thinking, like, this was so real. What if, there's this fishing pond that's like way back in the woods and stuff. What if, my dad, he was at this pond. What if his truck broke down and he like walked back through the woods or something like that, because it was quicker than taking the road. And so right about that time, my dad pulls in the driveway in his truck. Now, she screams for him, and she said, "Jeff, there's somebody in the woods up here." So my dad takes off in that little pickup truck through the yard all the way up to the wood line. He gets up there, he jumps out, he's running around through the woods, looking in the shed, like there's nobody. There is not a trace of anybody. Now, Mom said she saw this thing, this man, whatever, go back behind this big oak tree. He never came out from behind that oak tree. There is no way he could have walked away or like without her seeing. You know what I mean? So we still don't know what it was. We never found out. So yeah, that's the story. I don't know what to make of it. I have very clear memories of it. One of my earlier childhood memories, and my mom, obviously remembers it. There were quite a few things that happened at that house in Tennessee, and we will have to share more about that house at a later time.